Hey everybody, welcome back to the I Play 2 podcast where relatives of famous athletes, entertainers, and musicians get to tell their stories. I'm your host, Rob Adler. This week, singer-songwriter Jonathan Waugh joins the show. He released his first album, What I've Become, in 2009 and collaborated with musicians such as Corey Hart. Jonathan's latest album is entitled Life's Distortions, and he just returned from performing on a European tour. His father, Patrick Waugh, is a multi-time Stanley Cup winning goalie and just led the Quebec Remparts to the Memorial Cup in Canada. Jonathan, too, was once a goalie and played for the Remparts, and Patrick was his coach, and Jonathan also played with his brother. Jonathan, welcome to the show.
Hey, Rob, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good.
How did you get into music?
I got into music. I was about 13 years old. My mom had bought me a drum set for Christmas. She actually played the piano at home and saw that I loved music and was taking vocal lessons in school and stuff. I was kind of hiding it from my dad a little bit. I didn't want him to know. I wanted him to be proud of me as a hockey player, and I was kind of also following in his footsteps, trying to be a goalie. But my mom kind of knew that I loved music and bought me a drum set, and I started drumming. I had piano lessons once in a while and actually kind of let it all go. I did like a couple lessons and stuff, and I felt like, okay, you know what? I got to do one thing. I can't be doing 2 or 3 things at the same time. It just doesn't make sense, and my mind just can't handle it. And so focused on hockey until I was probably 18 years old, and that's where I kind of made the switch. My junior year, I was writing a lot of music and finished an album, and I think I was about 19 when I officially released the album, What I've Become. I didn't know what to expect. I think I was just doing it for fun, but I didn't really know what I was doing. Just kind of gave it a shot, and I've been doing it now for almost 15 years. And I couldn't have made a better decision.
Did you and your mom ever collaborate on a song?
No, no. My mom is a piano player. She plays beautifully, but we play very different things. She actually used to play at home, and before going to bed, she'd go, hey, guys, go take your showers, and then I'll play a little bit of piano for everybody. And we used to just sit down underneath the piano and listen to her play, and she played beautifully, but it's just very different than what I do.
Who were some of the bands and musicians growing up that you enjoyed listening to?
My first concert was a Backstreet Boy concert. I was into boy bands. I love boy band stuff, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys. Then I kind of fell in love with stuff like Eminem, 50 Cent. And then I went into country music at one point, Garth Brooks. I was a huge Garth Brooks fan when I was in Denver. And then when I kind of started singing, I fell in love with voices. John Mayer, B.B. King, Johnny Lang, Paula Nutini, Ray LaMontagne. I just loved the way they sang songs and the emotion that they had. And it was a storytelling in itself of just the way they were singing. It was so beautiful, and I wanted to have that kind of tone. So I kind of tried to copy those voices to essentially realize that I was never going to copy those voices, and found my own through that process.
While you were listening to them, such as King and LaMontagne, I got a chance to see B.B. King in his club in Memphis years ago, and it was unbelievable.
Oh.
Did you get a chance to ever see any of those live to kind of make you go, you know what, this is really the right way to go?
B.B. King, no. And that's why I said, oh, I wish I had. He was such a special player and such a great entertainer. Johnny Lang, no. Paula Nutini, I've watched a lot of stuff on YouTube, but never live. John Mayer, I have. Garth Brooks, I believe I did. Backstreet Boys, well, I'm not a fan of them anymore, but I got to actually open up for them. A few years back out in Quebec, I was playing out to about 100,000 people, which was insane, just to kind of do that before the band that I grew up on, which I thought was really cool.
Going out and performing in front of 100,000 people, what was that like? Because I imagine that's probably a nervous moment.
To be super honest with you, Rob, I don't remember much of it. It's like a cassette. You press play and moving forward, and you don't really know what's going on. It's such an amazing moment, and you don't really get to cherish it. You're just on the go, and you're just trying to do your thing, and you're connecting to this music. You're having a lot of fun, but it's just happening too quickly. The adrenaline is so intense, and you're just trying to hold it together that you're just not really focused on what's really going on. But I know it was a beautiful moment. It's been a long time since my dad hadn't seen me play. and he was there, and my mom was there, and it was a really special moment at the same time. But yeah, I could say it was definitely a little bit stressful. I think the first song, it takes a couple seconds to get the jitters out. And the first note you sing, you're like, okay, is it going to come out the right way? But it went great, and I had a blast.
From performing in front of such a large audience, was there anything that you kind of learned from that performance that you're able to take forward when you do get in front of a really, really large crowd?
Yeah, that you need to be prepared and that you need to really keep your composure and you need to breathe. Breathing is such a huge key in that moment. Is like not to let that moment dominate you, and you need to just sit with it and breathe and stay calm and just have a good time. You're not necessarily there saving someone's life. You're not a doctor in an operation room, so you can just relax and just do your thing. But I think coming in prepared, I felt that I was kind of unprepared a little bit, and I didn't have the experience to handle such a thing at a high level. And to do it so you come out of there just really owning your craft and gaining a lot of fans. I felt like I was a little kid in a giant playground. I didn't have all the tools to kind of hone in that moment, but it was so fast. So maybe to appreciate that moment a little bit more. And like I said, to breathe in and, okay, this is happening. I don't think I knew it was happening.
You mentioned the importance of breathing and just kind of taking a moment to relax. What's kind of pre-show routine for you?
I've got a little meditation routine. I stretch. Sound check for me is kind of like warm up. I go through my set, what I'm going to say, how I'm going to say it, my vocal warm up, take my time with that. That's huge before I get on a stage and to not blow my voice. Just like you don't want to hurt your body as you're going on the ice. So go get those high notes, especially at the beginning of a set. Because if you go in there and you're going in too strong and you're doing an hour and a half, and even then, when I was doing 30-minute sets, you're so intense. And if you're going a little too hard and you're not warmed up, you can have a really bad night. And then you're not having fun up on stage and you're not connecting with everybody because you're so focused on your voice. And I have these little breathing exercises to kind of just calm myself down. Yeah, I'm just a lot more prepared. And so when I'm up on that stage, I know what's going on. I know what my musicians are doing. I know where I have to be at a certain time when the lights are closing or opening. And so yeah, I'm just feeling a lot better because the experience is coming in.
When you're doing 90 minutes or longer, how do you pace yourself to keep the energy consistent throughout a show?
I don't as much. I just kind of go in and sing from the heart. Sometimes that nips me in the ass, but at the end of the day, I think people are there to see a performance. You got to go in hard right away. The months before go on tour, I think you just got to prepare so that you come into your set and you're going in hard. I mean, when you're sick, that's a different game, probably in terms of volume. Obviously, you're not going to be talking during the day. You try and rest as much as possible. But when you're in tip top shape, I think, especially for me and the kind of show that I'm giving, I got to go in hard. So it's about being prepared. I know what I have to do. So when I'm prepared, I can go in and sing the shit out of it and have a good time and not worry about, okay, after 45 minutes, my voice is or isn't going to hold. You know it's going to, and you don't have any doubts in your head.
You just came back off of a pretty long European tour. Was that the first time that you had gone over there?
First time. And I was really, really excited about it because I had never really gone outside of North America to play music. And to play, I think it was like 11 shows in 15 days or 16 days, something like that. I had never done that. I didn't know how my voice was going to hold on because I had never done something so intense, especially with all the driving. But we had a tour bus. I knew I had to sleep as much as possible, rest my voice as much as possible. If I was going to do 3-4 nights in a row, one day off, 3-4 nights in a row, one day off, I had to just drink a lot of water and I had to eat as healthy as I could. And I had to calm my mind down because obviously you're spending a lot of money going into another country and you don't want to start canceling dates. And so the stress kind of comes in and you just like, okay, you got to hold it together. So going back to meditation and just positive thinking and relying on how you've prepared the last couple months to make sure that you can get through this moment.
When you're going from city to city or country to country, let's say Germany to Austria to the Netherlands, how are you able to stay in the moment and just kind of realize, hey, this is a pretty cool thing that I'm doing right now?
I think you're so excited that you're in the present moment the whole time. It's not like at home where you go back to your house, you get back to your normal life. I mean, I live on a farm, so I'm taking care of the animals. There, you're just in this tour bus, and that's all you're doing. And so I felt it was a lot easier to focus and be in that present moment. We're 5,000 miles away from home, so you're so primed up and you're ready to go. And a lot of fun to meet new people and create a new fan base outside of yours. A lot of those people have been waiting for a long time to see you play. And it was really exciting for us to get in there. And some of them were smaller venues, some of them were bigger venues, but it was just to be in front of a new crowd was really, really exciting for us. It's a beautiful market. So, and it's a market that I want to grow. I thought that was really, really fun. So that kept me in the present moment big time.
What was a favorite fan interaction that you had along the way?
My music comes from a place where a lot of what I write is during my difficult times. And I think that that's why it's connecting, because we all go through good and bad times. But for example, Keeping Me Alive, it's like this uplifting song, even though it's a heavy subject of you kind of crumbling, but not giving up, and knowing that you're in a bad headspace, but not giving up and fighting through whatever anxiety, depression that you're living, to just keep fighting. And so I met a lot of people that were kind of going through that mindset, and a lot of people where I'm standing up in front of them, I'm shaking their hands and they're going in for the hug. And it's, man, you saved my life. I was about to leave this world, and because I heard your song, I'm here now. I had a lot of those. I never got close to that in my life of ending my own life, but I can tell you because of music that it's got me going again. And maybe I didn't turn to hard drugs or just kind of give up on my career. And I know music helped me out to not go and hit that rock bottom. To see people kind of turn their life around because of my music and meet those people, that was really special to me. And it gave my music and gave me why I'm doing this a greater meaning. The reality of it is I'm doing this for me. I guess I have a talent in what I'm doing, but now that I'm seeing that it's touching people's lives the way it's touching people's lives, that's insane. And that's adding on to the beauty of what I'm doing. I'm so thankful I get to do this for a living, but now it's so much more special to me to see that it's helping people. I'm thankful and grateful that they share their stories, because I think it's making me a better human being, and it's making me appreciate what I do a lot more.
It's amazing how music can really touch people's soul.
Life is full of energy, and there's a vibration in sounds. We know mathematically and scientifically that's all proven. But there's something, especially when a human being is doing that sound and also lyrically and all that stuff. Yeah, it's tapping into people's souls. And I don't know one person on this planet that doesn't love music. And there's so much of it, and there's so much different kinds of music, and we can all gravitate towards whatever music you want. Look, music is a really beautiful thing. It's connecting us all, for sure.
And it sparks this great debate because not everybody likes the same kind of music. Like, I'm pretty sure you're not going to listen to hair bands like I do.
But that's why there's so much of it, right? And that's what's so beautiful about it. You just decide whatever you want. Man, I think all that is so beautiful. The money thing, people kind of whining about, oh, we're not making the same amount of money. This is not all about money. This is also about connecting all of us together. And you saw it with the Beatles, you saw it with a bunch of other bands where it just resonated with people and changed political views and views towards life. And it's such a powerful medium.
Could one say hockey is a powerful medium similar to music?
Look, hockey is an art, creating space on the ice and the way you skate, the way you shoot the puck, the passion. It's the same thing with music, but hockey players, like the things that they're saying in between periods or after a game, and the way that they're communicating with their fans and how they're pumping up. And go through adversity and you're like, oh man, I can do that through whatever I'm going through. That's, I think, the power of sports, is to see people kind of hurt and go through pain and go through whatever they have to do to get better. And they're the reality of what's going on in our everyday lives. Whether you're helping out a neighbor, you know what I mean, or you're helping out somebody in the street, you're seeing that everywhere. But now you're just seeing it in sport where it's just highlighted. And passion kind of drives us all to be better and to motivate us to do the things that we love. I remember in 1998, I went to see my dad play in the Olympics. I remember sitting with Walter Gretzky and Walter telling me stories about Wayne and all the hours that Wayne would shoot pucks and handle the puck. He'd tell me these stories of Wayne skating so much and he getting so much faster every year. And then he would start to melt the ice because his blade would just be so hot from how fast he skated. And all that would just motivate me.
Former teammate of yours, Jonathan Marchessault, is currently in the Stanley Cup final.
My roommate, man.
I did not know he was your roommate. All right, let's hear a Marchessault story.
Those are secret, but I'm really proud of him. Man, I remember when he came in and the guys were really hard on him. He didn't have it easy to fit in. He had such a cocky little attitude and in the dressing room, and guys didn't like that, but he played so hard. He was just on every night. He had such a great mindset and great head on his shoulders. There was nobody that was going to tell him that he couldn't do it. He's got such a beautiful life in front of him. He's got a beautiful family, and he's such a good human being.
Playing junior for your dad and playing the same position as your dad, how much pressure was there on you?
To be honest with you, when I was a kid starting out, I don't think I knew. I don't think you have that kind of awareness of what's really going on. When I was about to get drafted in junior hockey, and I was playing for the Blizzards where my dad played Major AAA, maybe that's where I kind of started to feel it a little bit. But I was playing the game because I love the game. So more probably off the ice stuff, making sure I was classy, making sure I was sharp, having that name tied to me. I knew that off the ice, it was important that I had a good image. But on the ice, I was born with it to just give my all and have that grit and to just be there for my teammates. That just felt really natural. I heard all the stories. Mitch AAA, whatever, he's there probably because his dad, Bantam, all that stuff. He's there because of his dad. Junior hockey, probably got drafted because of his dad's name. But I guess I was used to the chirps, and that never really hit home with me. I just did my thing. And I don't think it affected me all that much, to be honest with you.
What appealed to you about being a goalie over being a forward or a defenseman?
I started out as a player. If you have a conversation with my dad ever, he will tell you the biggest mistake he did with me was put me in net. I had a year in junior AAA. I almost switched back to player and gone down the route. I thought it was too late, but I always loved being out. And I was a defenseman, and I had a hell of a shot, good hands, good vision. I wasn't afraid to go in the corners. I think I played goalie because I wanted to connect with my dad. I think that was the whole thing. And the funny thing about it was we didn't connect at all. I wouldn't listen to a thing he would say. I remember him bringing me to Littleton Arena, and he rented the ice at like 5 a.m. He had to practice around 10 or 11. He came with me at 5 a.m. to give me a little one-on-one. Probably my mom made him do it. I remember me just whining the whole time and not wanting to do anything he wanted to do. I was a tough kid too, and I kind of wanted to do my own thing, but at the same time I wanted to connect. I didn't know how. So I guess putting on the pads was probably my way of trying to compete with him. I don't know what I was thinking when I was a kid. Why did I choose goalie? But obviously going to the games, I was very proud of him. I admired him so much that maybe my admiration towards him was why I got into it as well.
I've talked a little about this with Jordan Parise, who played junior at Shattuck St. Mary's, where his dad, JP, was the hockey director, and JP was an NHL All-Star as well. How hard was it to separate the coach-player relationship from the dad-son relationship?
It was very easy. I'm a team guy, and when you're in the sport and you're playing hockey and you're playing at a high level year after year, to me, that was very simple. And when I played with him, we got on board with his system. And when we got home, it was, hey, Dad. On the ice, it was, hey, Coach. It was natural. We just have so much respect for the game, and being around it for so long, we knew what was right, what was wrong. And the way we were was just a natural way of being, I guess. That didn't change whether he was coach or dad.
You also played a year and change with your brother. What was that like to be able to play with your brother? Your dad's coach, you're all kind of in the same spot. That had to be pretty cool.
My parents got divorced, and we kind of branched away and kind of disconnected from each other a little bit. And that kind of brought the boys back together. It was really nice to see my dad a lot more. Before then, I was playing Midget AAA, and my dad was busy with the Ramparts. We were doing 1 week, 1 week. And when we were with my dad wasn't always there. So we didn't see each other very much. So when we started to play together, all of us, it was really nice to just be all together. And I remember just sometimes going to my dad's room and having a little coffee and catching up before we went to the rink and stuff. So that was really nice. That felt really good. And being with your little brother too on the road, I love him, man. So just to be playing hockey, doing the thing that I love, and then having someone there that I love, it was just like the ultimate. We had a lot of fun doing that. It was tough at times because obviously when you see, let's say, your brother getting hurt, your brother dropping the gloves, a lot of emotions going through your head because I'm a protector. And that was a thing that I had to kind of learn to kind of compose myself in those kind of moments. Man, it was a lot of fun. Those years were years that I'll always remember, that's for sure.
With playing with your brother, you mentioned it helped you get closer. Are you guys still close to this day?
Yeah, and more as we're growing older, I think in the things that we're experiencing, I think that our values are reconnecting a lot. We've always been close, but I think now more than ever, we're connecting on music, on things that we love. Even though we're very different, I feel like the experiences that we're living now in 2023 are bringing us a lot closer. But we've always been tight. I remember going to Rochester, seeing my little brother play, and whether my little brother was going through a tough time with anything, we've always been there for each other.
Whether it's your parents going through a divorce or seeing your brother go through a tough time, that brings us to mental health. How important do you feel mental health is?
I think is the most important thing. Everything that we're experiencing right now in life, it all happens in our minds, right? So if I'm not feeling good, then this experience of life it's everything. Mental health is also your body. It's all connected. So when you have a healthy body and a healthy mind, I think that this experience called life can be really, really beautiful. I think me, like everyone else, we all go through ups and downs, and we have months, days, years that are more difficult than others. But for me, I have more and more tools to help me guide myself through those difficult times. And even when the ups, to not be too high and to kind of control that ego and to dimmer down and remember where I come from. And also to surround yourself with the right people and people you love, and to be able to talk about the ups and the downs with those people, to have that free space where you could just be vulnerable and to open up about anything. We were kind of making fun of it for a long time, but I think we all know that it's huge and it's really important. It's not just, hey, come on, man, be tough. It's not about that. It's about understanding it and finding those tools to deal with those things.
You mentioned having a bad day or a bad week. One of the things that unfortunately kind of went viral on the internet a while back was you got involved with a fight in your junior hockey career. How did that impact you? And is it something now that you're more okay with than maybe you were then?
Yeah, it definitely had a huge impact on me. Not being able to kind of walk the street, you know what I mean? Like everyone's kind of staring at you. Everybody knows what you did bad. That was really tough on me. My ego definitely took a huge shot, which was amazing. I needed to be woken up a little bit to know that my actions had consequences and stuff like that. I also figured out that the world can also be really mean, and that's not all rainbows and happy days all the time. That's where I kind of really grew up, learned a lot about myself, learned a lot about how to pick myself up and not let all the negativity that was going around on me kind of bring me down and hold me there. It was dark at times. It was a beautiful process of rebuilding my self-esteem and just becoming a better human being. The year after that, I remember coming in and having a hell of a year and having such a better mindset, being more calm and being more mature and being more respectful towards myself, towards others, and the game. That event changed junior hockey forever. I'm kind of glad it did. Maybe somebody else wouldn't have been able to make it out of there. I'm glad it happened to me because I was tough enough to handle all that. And at the same time, I'm glad it did because it changed me for the better. I think the huge lesson behind that story, which was to me completely blown out of proportion because of my last name, was to learn from my mistakes and to not repeat those mistakes.
Your dad went through some tough times in the NHL, particularly dealing with the media and to a lesser extent some of the fans. Was he able to give you any advice to get you through that situation?
His thing to me was just to not listen to that and to understand that people sometimes, especially in the media, can be out there to get you and to make a story out of something, and to not listen to that. Even though sometimes it's incredibly hard, you're reading papers, you're reading blogs, and you see, for example, 10 amazing comments, and then you see one, and that one will change your day for the day because of one negative comment. But I think it was just not let those things define you.
For me, as a hockey fan, and forgive me, but I love a good goalie fight. Have you guys ever joked around about who's the better fighter? Because your dad was involved in a pretty legendary one, too.
I think my dad was a lot tougher than me, man, a lot bigger than me. But I guess I was never really in a fight other than the player that I fought after the whole ordeal. But I mean, he had more one-on-ones like when it was Vernon or Osgood. He was a tough guy, man. He went to war, I tell you. He wasn't holding back.
Going back to music here, Life Distortions, your most recent release, is a very unique album title, and I actually like it, and I think it's a very good description for many of the songs on the album. How did you decide upon the title?
I was having a conversation with Paul, my manager, and Paul was like, dude, what do you think of this? And he's like, tell me what it means to you. And he's like, Life Distortions. That's really cool. And it took a couple days for me to kind of hone in on the meaning of it for me. And for me, it was just not letting the distortions of life take me off my beaten path and to not lose the sight of why I'm doing all this and why I got into music in the first place and all that stuff. That's what it means to me, and that's how it kind of came to be. From the beginning to the end, these are all songs that are a little reminder of the things that I've learned and the things that I want to apply in my life. And just to remind myself, hey, this is what this means. Listen to the song and it'll bring me back to that moment. Ah, that's right. Don't forget that. Remember that. That made you happy. Life Distortions for me is an album that I always go back into a moment where it was the first time that I was producing something by myself, getting out of record labels and stuff like that. And those years were huge for me because it's just, I changed so much and I was really evolving as a human being and trusting myself and having that confidence to dig deep and to tell myself, hey man, do you really want to do this for a living? And I remember because I had not quit, but I had taken a break. I bought an RV and I ran off and lived on the side of the highway near Malibu. And I just sat there and I thought, and I was like, hey, is this what I really want to do? And I put the guitar away actually for about a month. And when I took it out and I started playing, I just said to myself, there's no way that I can stop doing this. I love this so much. Why give it up? Because you're not making a lot of money? Come on, those aren't good reasons. You should be doing it because you just love it. That's everything, because that's what everybody wants to do anyways. Everyone wants to just do what they love. Screw the end game of what could happen. Is that what you love? Yes, then just do it and just live it. And when you start living your passion, I think that that's when success comes in That's where anxiety kind of just goes away because you're just doing it. You're just having fun. You're just doing it. And I'm not trying to fit in any box. I'm just creating something. I'm tuning into something and it's coming into me and I'm just writing and just doing my thing. I'm not forcing it anymore. I'm not trying to be somebody I'm not. And I'm not afraid anymore to fail. I'm just doing it. And it feels amazing to have that off my shoulders.
There are worse places to park an RV than Malibu.
I agree. And while I was there, I remember $1 million houses right on the water there. And we were like, man, we have a better view. We're on the beach. Some of them were trying to kick out the RVs, the people that were living there. And I was actually trying to pick up the beaches every day. And I was going out there trying to make it all beautiful because, yeah, there was a lot of homeless people living next to me and drug addicts and them just leaving needles and trash. And they weren't picking up after themselves. And so I was trying to do my good deed. It was beautiful. I had such a good time feeling so free and not paying rent. Yeah, having that freedom to just roam. I'd never done that, Rob, man. I've always been like, you're born, you're with your parents are kind of telling you what to do, how to dress. You go to school teaches you to be a certain way and you got to learn this and that and this. They're telling you got to get a job, you got to do this. And then hockey was your coach, you got to go to bed at a certain time, you got to work out every day. It's just crazy. And then when I got into music, same thing. I had a manager who was trying to push me to be the best that I could be, and which was also heavy on my shoulders. And I was like, man, can I just take a second here for myself and see how I'm doing? And can I do the things that I want to do, like when I want to do them, wake up the time that I want to wake up, not do whatever I need to do for a second and just relax. And it was amazing. And I think a lot of us kind of need that moment to slow things down a little bit because life's just flying by, man. It's crazy. And we're so focused on performance and making money and just trying to survive. We forget that there's a human soul in us and we got to take care of it.
Do you still have the RV?
I just sold it. I was about to leave for Hawaii. I was opening up for Earth, Wind, and Fire. And I told myself that coming back from the Hawaii trip, that this thing needs to be gone because I need to move on. And so I sold it. It was falling apart, Rob. I bought an old RV. It was all I could afford at the time. And it was pretty beat up. But I drove it from Quebec to Mexico. I did a lot of US. I did all of Canada. I don't know how that thing was still standing. My right wall was peeling off the metal. I can't believe someone bought it.
My folks had an RV for a few years and they loved just the freedom of being able to go wherever you wanted to go at the moment's notice.
Yeah, and sleep wherever we want to go. This place is beautiful right next to a lake. Boom, I'm going to park it here for a couple of days. The world is so beautiful. We tend to kind of stay in a place where it's just kind of comfortable, but I love traveling. I think you learn so much about life and yourself as you're traveling. I've traveled just with my backpack and I've traveled with the RV, and both are amazing experiences. Both are very different, but you learn so much about yourself and it's a lot of fun. I think it's so important. It really bugs me kind of the way life is kind of set up for kids. And you're 15 to 19, okay, you got to go to university and all that. Really strange to me how we're not supposed to go out and just see the world a little bit and see the beauty of it all. And I think that would maybe bring a little more compassion in the world and taking care of the planet. And then kind of go, okay, I think more and more people are exploring life a little bit younger and are doing that kind of what people do right when they retire. They're doing it now. I'm kind of an advocate for that, to try and get people to do that before they get into something really serious in their life, because they're going to be miserable half the time. And sometimes that's the way to go for some people, and that's okay. But there is a different option that should be laid out in front of some people. People should just be exploring life, exploring who they are. And then when they feel right about it, they go into whatever they want to do.
I feel that like you can go see whatever monument or museum you want, but it's the people you talk to are what you really remember.
I agree with that 100%. You can read all about Egypt, you know what I mean? But if you don't go, you're not going to really understand the whole thing about it. Imagination is one thing, it's beautiful, but when you're traveling around and yeah, you're right, you're with the people that you love and you're experiencing life by going through all these experiences, you're going to learn so much. And that's what life's all about. It's shorter than we think.
Going back to Life's Distortions for a second, one of the songs when I listened to the album that I liked was 21 Days. Can you kind of talk about like how you came up with the title and how you decided upon the lyrics? Because I thought that was kind of a really cool song.
My best friend was going through a really difficult time in his life. He was hooked on pills and alcohol, and I thought I was just kind of losing him, and I decided that I was going to have an intervention and stop what was going on, and met up with him and told him that he needed to get help. It was a very difficult moment for him, I think, to kind of acknowledge it, but I think he was kind of ready for it, and he was waiting for someone to give him that love that he needed. We were there to support, and he went through and went to rehab that week. And today he's doing really good. So I'm really, really proud of him, how he handled everything. 21 days, because 21 days, it's how many days he was there. And I wrote it on the piano. I was in his house the day he left. And his house was empty, and I was just sitting there, and he had this piano, and I just started to put together the song. And it was just about, I guess, what he was kind of probably going through in his head, leaving the person that he loved behind and leaving his life behind, also kind of facing all your demons, how you're going to go through probably the most difficult time in your life of trying to get sober and kind of not let that darkness consume you. And it was a song about him not giving up and crushing it and going through those tough times.
Listening to various songs, your lyrics, not necessarily the way you sing them, but just in terms of the way I would read them on paper, kind of read like poetry. Were you ever somebody who really liked reading or writing poetry?
Poetry, yes. I've always loved songwriting, and I have always admired people that could songwrite. It's such a beautiful art form, and so I was always attracted to that. And I always thought that was really important for me. When I met Corey Hart, Corey was a very sophisticated lyricist. I'm not like that. I'm more basic and simple, but you get it. And I don't have a huge vocabulary like Corey does. I guess I tried to simplify my writing, and I think that that's probably a better way also to connect with people. Sometimes when it's a little too sophisticated, I find that you kind of can lose the whole meaning of a song. I guess maybe it's left there for interpretation, but at the same time, I like when something is very direct and simple.
I think your music connects with a lot of people because there's a level of emotion that even if you're just reading the lyrics, not even listening to the vocals and the music, that I think people can connect with and can say, you know what, I can relate to that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm happy that you say that. That's really, really important to me. So I want to have all the facets of a solid artist and songwriter, whether it's being solid up on stage, saying the right things in interviews, from writing the right melodies, from choosing the right production on a certain song. It's so important to me to be well-rounded and have all those qualities at a high level and the best level that I can reach. So I really appreciate that. And it means a lot to me that people are connecting because, like I said, it's a reminder to me, and to see that it's helping me and helping others is awesome.
Jonathan, I want to thank you for joining the I Play 2 podcast today. You've been incredibly insightful, not just with your music career, but with your hockey career. I very much enjoyed it, and we'll have you back on the show again soon.
Thanks, Rob. I appreciate it. See you soon, my friend.